The Avengers, right off the bat, we get the whole introduction of the Other talking to Thanos, who doesn't get named in this movie, but now we know who the main bad guy of the MCU is going to be, who's going to be established throughout the rest of the MCU. We get established of the whole Chitauri army, their weapons, their vehicles, and everything, which become way important later down the line, and their whole plan to use Loki in order to destroy the Earth, and then, destroy Earth's mightiest heroes, and then have a way for Thanos to, take over the universe. I think one thing that's interesting is the fact that they're kind of giving Loki the scepter with the Mind Stone in it, when obviously it gets revealed later on that Thanos needs the Mind Stone in order to activate the Infinity Gauntlet. So like, why are you giving Loki an Infinity Stone in order to retrieve an Infinity Stone? Obviously, they didn't know that these different random objects were going to be Infinity Stones. They didn't really know that they were going to do Infinity War. When Joss Whedon was writing the script, he just had Thanos as like one little Easter egg at the very end of the credits for all the fans and everything like that. And then Kevin Feige and Marvel saw how everyone responded to it. It was like, okay, now that's going to be phases 2 and 3 is we're going to lead up to Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet storyline. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, we get establishment of more Infinity Stones. Obviously the Tesseract, which ends up being the Space Stone, which is like the MacGuffin for the Avengers, and then the Scepter, which has the Mind Stone in it, which obviously gets very important later on. And then basically the whole recruiting of the team, we get all these different characters that are kind of from these disparate positions. We also get reintroduced the character of Hawkeye, who was previously established in Thor. It's a little cameo scene. When I watched it, didn't really think he was going to be important. And then obviously, now he is. So I think that's really, really cool. But then, he gets put under mind control, which, a lot of people were just like, oh man, like I thought he was going to be on the team the whole time. But like most of the movies under mind control. And then at the very end, he joins the Avengers. But yeah, overall, this is like one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite Avengers movies. Probably like my second favorite Avengers movie, just because it was just such an anomaly in industry, establishing all these different characters in these different movies and them having all them come together in one big crossover movie. I know there's been crossover movies in the past, but like there's nothing that's been to this extent before. So it was really cool seeing, on the big screens, like, oh my gosh, like Tony Stark and Iron Man talking to each other, like what? So yeah, overall, I thought that was really, really cool. But yeah, then we get introduced to like a bunch of different elements of the story. We get introduced to the helicarrier. Once all the heroes are together, and the helicarrier will become very important later on in different movies. And then, obviously the characters like all bickering and everything. And, obviously the helicarrier is like part aircraft carrier, part helicopter, can kind of fly and cloak itself and everything. The different characters are recruited, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, in order to stop Loki, who has the scepter, who stole the Tesseract in the opening scene and, killed a bunch of people and took Barton under mind control. So their whole mission is to come together to stop them. Nick Fury finally activates the Avenger Initiative, which he brought up at the end of Iron Man. So all these characters come together. They obviously butt heads a lot, but then as the story goes on, they learn to work together. We get the death of Coulson, which is a very tragic scene. We had him interacting with Thor and Iron Man and all these different characters, Steve Rogers at the beginning, in order to have the characters, care about him. So then when he gets killed, that gives the characters something to avenge. Obviously, the Avengers. They finally come together. They defeat Loki, who's trying to use the Tesseract to open the portal, because it's a space stone, to have Thanos' army come down. They have the cool epic shot of like the camera going around all the characters as they're like circled together, which is definitely a callback throughout the series. And then the World Security Council, which gets established in this movie, who's kind of like Nick Fury's boss, orders him to, send a nuke to bomb New York. But obviously Nick Fury doesn't want to do that. So then Iron Man grabs a missile, takes it into the wormhole, and then it hits the mothership. The mothership gets destroyed, and then all the Chitauri, fall down, Phantom Menace style on the ground. And then the day is saved thanks to the Avengers. And after that, they kind of go their separate ways. Thor takes Loki back to Asgard to face justice. Steve Rogers, Black Widow, Hawkeye, they continue to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. Tony and Bruce Banner kind of drive off into the sunset, as the science bros. Yeah, overall, fun movie, great establishment of these characters, great establishment of the team, and, obviously became a pop culture worldwide phenomenon. And like I said before, we get the little teaser at the end of Thanos being introduced into the world, and, the other saying, to challenge them is to court death. And then, Thanos, turning and then giving that little grin.